Welcome to MMA Inside the Cage, now broadcasting nationwide from the Tri-Cities of Tennessee. I'm your host, Cyrus Fees, and next to me is the walking New Year's resolution, Casey Oxendine.
Well, you know, 2010 was a big year for MMA Inside the Cage, but 2011, we stand on the heap and we stare through the stratosphere.
Wow, that was powerful, Casey. It is 2011 and a new year for mixed martial arts and a new year for MMA Inside the Cage. Tonight, an all-star panel joins us as we talk the aftermath of WEC 53, a fantastic event for the company to go out on.
Absolutely. Nobody can forget the big kick from Pettis. We hear about it every day, all day.
It's the Showtime kick. And tonight, we'll see how the votes tallied up in our search for a female correspondent. We have all three ladies in the studio tonight. Hello, ladies. How you doing over there?
Hey.
Yeah. We will reveal our winner tonight, Casey Oxendine. But now let's introduce our first panel of 2011. Joining us tonight, we have StrikeForce fighter Ovince St. Preux. Ovince fights for Knoxville Martial Arts Academy and has a professional record of 9-4, 3 straight wins in StrikeForce, with his most recent coming against Benji Raddick. Not to mention, this has all been in about a 2-month span. Welcome to the show, Ovince.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, a lot of people will recognize you as a former UT football player, a linebacker. How do you feel like the transition was going from football to mixed martial arts?
Like I said, with football, it's more of a, you got shoulder pads and helmets on. So, I mean, you can get hit, you'll feel the hit, but not with mixed martial arts. You don't got no padding except 4-ounce gloves, and everybody knows 4-ounce gloves and don't mean nothing. Everything gonna hurt. So, I mean, it's a transition been good. It just, make me know I took my football work ethic over and actually have a little bit more work ethic towards mixed martial arts. It's definitely hard, but a blessing at the same time too.
Now, Casey, there's been a lot of former football players, NFL type players, college football players that have made it into mixed martial arts. Of course, none of them have really had a big push and never hit real superstardom. Of course, Herschel Walker's doing some things right now, but he's kind of past his prime, right?
Right, but I mean, it's interesting to see him there and watch what he's trying to do, because the whole George Foreman back in the day going in and doing it in his 40s, becoming world champion. I mean, he's not a martial artist. He's never been an MMA fighter before, but he was an incredible athlete. And sometimes incredible athletes, you can do anything. It's just logic would say that his best years are already past him.
Now, Vince, you recently had somebody, very powerful in the world of mixed martial arts say that you're kind of different from some of the other football players that have transitioned into the sport, haven't you?
Yeah, most definitely. Pat Millich just told me that. He was like, I was actually surprised when he said that. He was like, I'm one of the top 3-4 football players that's actually doing pretty good in mixed martial arts. I actually started with football, transitioned over to mixed martial art, which helped a lot. But I mean, it also helps, when I was in high school, I was a 3-letter athlete. I played football, track, and I wrestled too. And just having top of that background, kind of knowing when you're at, helped out a lot. So I was definitely happy when he said that.
Now, you have to be really excited all these opportunities. I mean, you've won 3 straight StrikeForce fights, Benji Raddick, Antoine Britt, big fights. I mean, you're pretty much shooting right up the light heavyweight rankings. How does it feel to be in that position?
It feels real good. It's one of the things I thought about, like last year around this time. I was telling myself, I was thinking about quitting because my record wasn't up to par. And I was like, I needed to fight some cupcake fights in order to get my record building. But 2010, I had all my fights were pretty hard. And just when the situation happened with StrikeForce, everything came into play. And I've been winning for him, and I've been doing really good. And I mean, I can't complain. Just being up there with all of that talent is just something real good.
Now, your next fight is going to be Ubongo Humphrey. What do you know about your opponent? And that's only, a week away here, January 7th in Nashville.
From what I know right now, they say he's a pretty good striker and stuff. He used to fight a heavyweight. He fought his first fight, Brett Rogers, a heavyweight, and now he's fighting at 205. So I know he's going to be really good, really big. But I heard he's kind of short, so I'm going to have the height and reach advantage over him, hopefully. But like I said before, it's just like I'm just going to go out there, give the crowd a good fight, and win.
It's a good strategy. Now, Casey, you know Vince pretty well. I mean, he was fighting here in the Tri-Cities not too long ago.
Yeah, he was involved in one of the most vicious, bloody fights I've ever seen in this area ever with Daniel Crockett from Absolute Jiu-Jitsu. And, that's the only fight that Daniel lost. and it was just a war. And it just, you know, some of those fights that you see, they affect you. That fight affected me. I was very impressed with it, and I knew that Ovince was on his way.
All right. Well, it's great to have you here, Ovince.
Thank you.
All right, next to him, a friend of the program and also fighting on the StrikeForce card in Nashville against Garrick Hayes, Stoney Hale. Welcome to the show, Stoney. Stoney fights for Team Oxen 9, has a pro record of 4-2. Now, good news for you, man. You've had 2 Bellator fights. Now you're going into StrikeForce. You got to love the big stage, Stoney.
I'm loving it, man. Just ready to step up and show what I can do. Been working hard, so.
Okay. Now, talk about this opponent of yours, Garrick Hayes. What do you know about him, and what kind of strategy will you employ on this fight?
Garrick, he's a Sambo instructor, so it's going to be kind of similar to my first pro fight when I went and fought in Russia. You know, we trained a lot of Sambo foot locks, things like that, so definitely watch my feet. I've trained hard. Casey's really worked hard with me. I've started a new program called Heat at Lifestyles with Corey Miller. It's been great, and I have a new strength coach, Caveman Anthony Matt, and he's been just put me through some awesome workouts. So.
Now, Casey, you are Stoney's coach. What kind of strategy are you trying to instill in him going into this fight on a really big stage?
Well, I just want him to go out there and do what he does, and that's be aggressive, press the fight, and stay on this kid. Watch out for the footlocks, because the kid will, you know, he does the Sambo stuff where he jumps up and catches your legs, and he'll try all that. You know, we got to neutralize that, and he's just got to push forward like he always does.
Well, thanks for being on the program, Stoney. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Always great to be here, man.
When we return, we'll discuss the final WEC event ever and who we think will have a big 2011. And don't forget, later in the show, we'll select our MMA Inside the Cage female correspondent. The ladies are standing by, waiting patiently. But now it's time for the first Poor Richards on Campus Sunday Punch of the Week for 2011.
Dude, you're wearing the blue jeans and the sport coat.
What is the big deal? Oh, do you want me to go change, Casey? It's comfortable, bro. It's not a big... Oh, Vince, don't do that.
Because when you're tired, you don't react well to that right there. That massive uppercut literally just knocked him to his knees.
Welcome back to MMA Inside the Cage, broadcasting across America from the Tri-Cities of Tennessee. While the UFC had a few shows to finish off 2010, we saw GSP dismantle Josh Koscheck, and Thiago Alves had a good showing at UFC 124, but the event that outshined it all was WEC 53, the final event under the WEC brand, as it was announced months ago that Zuffa would absorb WEC into the UFC brand. When you talk about the WEC case, you talk about an exciting brand of mixed martial arts.
You do, because you got to see all the little guys doing all the little guy moves that you never got to see on like a world level before. So it was fantastic. You know, it's great to see them actually integrated into the UFC, so those guys can actually become the UFC world champion.
You're right, and they have a rich history as well. A lot of people don't know. Guys like Frank Shamrock, Chris Lieben, Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit, Shawnee Carter, Gilbert Melendez all fought for WEC at one time and held titles.
Yeah, and you know, back then, you know, WEC was its own brand coming up. You know, the UFC actually absorbed it later on, but they, you know, they were kind of like a striver, kind of like StrikeForce and Bellator. They were a contender, and at that time, you know, UFC got them before they got too strong, but they did wonders for WEC itself.
You're right. Now this event, WEC 53, was headlined by 2 big title matches. You had Dominic Cruz taking on Scott Jorgensen to decide the first ever UFC bantamweight champ, and Ben Henderson defending his lightweight title against Anthony Showtime Pettis, the winner unifying the belt in a bout against the winner of the Frankie Edgar Gray Maynard fight. Now let's take a look at the result. It was WEC vet Bart Palajewski taking on Kamal Shalarus. It was Shalarus taking the decision and snags a nice win. Good fight. It was the Cowboy Donald Cerrone going up against Chris Horodecki. I like Horodecki. He was a former IFL standout, really good stand-up, but he gets tapped out at 243 in the second. This one was pretty much expected. Let me send this one over to Ovince. You probably saw this fight. Cerrone, obviously a great athlete, and then you got Horodecki, kind of a different style. What did you think was going to happen in that fight?
Well, I knew Cerrone was going to end up winning that fight. He's just stand-up wise, I think Cerrone was still better than him stand-up wise, and if it went in the ground, Cerrone ground game is pretty good.
You know, Cerrone has a nice, lead-in going into the UFC. I can tell he's going to be right up there in the contenders, and he already called out Cole Miller. What do you think a fight like that would turn into? Cole Miller, Donald Cerrone?
Cole Miller, he's known for his, his great wars, like War of Words with like Junie Browning.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of headlines. So, I think it's right down his alley.
In the co-main event, it was the very talented Dominic Cruz defending his title against Scott Jorgensen, a very exciting fighter. Had a lot of real key wins here in the last year. Now, Cruz takes every round. I mean, he just picked Jorgensen apart. I expected a little bit more from Jorgensen here, Casey. And talk about Cruz's fight and his talent, just the way he evades everything.
Well, Cruz never stops moving, and if you never stop moving, you can't get hit. The thing is, also, when he hits you again and again and again and again. Mm-hmm. So he's staying very, very aggressive, elusive, and then when he hits, he's hitting you with like a 3 or 4 piece combo. You got to move out of the way of it. I just don't think Jorgensen had what it took to hold him off. He held him off, as long as he could,
yeah.
But eventually, he broke through.
Yeah, exactly. And it was made pretty clear that we will see Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz very soon. Right now, who takes that fight? I'm going to send this over to Stoney. Uriah, Dominic Cruz. Dominic obviously lost to Uriah. It was his only loss. Who do you think would take that fight?
I like Uriah Faber. I mean, I like his wrestling skills. I mean, I think he's got a ton of athletic ability in wrestling. I think he could really give him problems.
Ovince, who do you think would take this fight, Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber?
I actually had a conversation with somebody about this the other day. I think first 3 rounds, I'll probably give it to Uriah. But if it goes 5 rounds, I'll probably give it to Dominic Cruz, because as the rounds get more and more, he start getting better and faster. Whereas Uriah, he's still good, but he's just going to end up slowing down a lot more. So.
Well, they're saying these guys could be the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter. What do you think about this fight? Who would win it, Casey?
I mean, I still have to lean towards Uriah Faber, man.
Okay.
He's just such pure athleticism. He's fast and he's strong. When he hits you, it blows up. Like his elbows, you watch his elbows and it's just like smash. He's the only person I've ever seen rock people with elbows, not just cut them. So I think that Uriah Faber stands a good chance of finishing Cruz with something big.
I think it does too. In my personal opinion, I think Cruz has, evolved since his loss to Faber, and I just think he's on such a high right now, and the way he evades and the way he picks people apart, I think he could frustrate Uriah, is what I think. So, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to happen very soon. Now, the main event was for the WEC lightweight title. The very smooth and athletic Ben Henderson taking on Anthony Showtime Pettis. Both guys have tremendous momentum coming into this fight. This one goes 5 rounds and could make a case for fight of the year. We're talking back and forth. It could have went either way. At one point, Henderson had him in a very tight rear naked choke on Pettis, but somehow lost it. Pettis got out of it. Pettis rode Henderson's back for almost the entire round in the 3rd. And finally, it was a ninja kick straight out of the Matrix that would decide it. Something out of Ong Bak or something out of the Matrix. Pettis connected on one of the sickest kicks in MMA history, Casey.
Yeah, it was awesome. He jumps off the cage, pops the right kick directly into the dude's head.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say about something like that? Do you think we could ever see Stoney, Skull, or Hale popping off with that kick off the cage?
Maybe an overhand right. You never know. I like throwing overhand rights. No, it was awesome. I mean, it was definitely a Matrix ninja kick. I mean, it's something. I
could see you taking it to the the light heavyweight range.
You know what? Actually, after that fight, the whole time I was watching the fight, I was already up, and I was just on the TV just watching it. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I knew Pettis was going to do some type of crazy stuff. And when that happened, I was like, okay, it's time to go to the gym and practice this kick. I would love to finish off a kick like that. I mean, it's going to be hard to top that kick right there. Because, the minute you seen the kick, you just like, this is unbelievable. Did he just do that? And I was like, they replayed it, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And Pettis retires the WEC title, and what a fitting end to the WEC, a breathtaking final bout, final kick for a very exciting company. Now, it's obvious that Pettis, Cruz, Faber, Aldo are all set up for big years in 2011, and I'm going to go down the line right now. Gentlemen, I want you to pick out any one fighter in any weight class, any promotion that you feel will have a big 2011. Let me send it down to you, Ovince St. Preux.
Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo?
Yeah, I just love watching him fight. Everybody's scared to fight him.
Yeah. I think he is. He's going to rise right to the top. I mean, he's going to be headlining pay-per-views for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of people already consider him pound for pound the best.
Send it over here to Stoney Hale, who's going to have the big 2011.
I'm going to have to be self-centered and say the Sculler. No, outside of that, I would say John Bones Jones. I just think he's going to continue to keep running through everybody and probably have a shot of a title.
He is right on the cusp, that's for sure, man, of that big fight. You know, no more fight nights. We're talking, you know, co-main event type of thing. Casey, I'm sending it to you. Who's going to have the big 2011?
Cain Velasquez. I think Cain Velasquez might completely, take the championship and run with it. You know, a true champion, because we've not seen a champion hold it for more than 1 or 2 fights. You know, and I think he's the guy to do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with somebody that, of course, has been dominant for the last 2-3 years. I'm going to say GSP. I think he's just going to keep running through them. I think we're going to see the GSP Anderson Silva fight later on in the summer. It's something they've been hinting at, and I think it's something they want to do. And I think GSP is just going to take that one. I think we're going to see the spider go down. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. Not a big fan. Speaking of having a big 2011, when we return in the 3rd round, we will select our MMA Inside the Cage female correspondent, and we will unveil our first double-time delivery main event of the week for 2011. Stay right here on MMA Inside the Cage. Welcome back to MMA Inside the Cage, broadcasting across the nation from the Tri-Cities of Tennessee. The 3rd round is upon us. We have Ovince St. Preux, we have Stoney Hale on the panel for our first show of 2011, and for the last month, we've been on a search for our female correspondent for MMA Inside the Cage. We went down to Port Richards on campus in Johnson City, got 6 lovely contestants. 3 ladies emerged: Alex Smathers, Tara Wright, and Erica Wetzel. You've been voting at MMAinsidethecage.net, and now we will select the newest member of the MMA Inside the Cage family. As we take a look at the results of the online voting, it's Erica taking home the most votes, followed by Tara, with Alex right behind her. Alex scored highest at our casting call competition with a perfect 50 points, followed by Tara with 48 and Erica with 46. Now, after careful consideration, we need a drum roll, JCDV. So what do? I say we offer this to all 3 ladies. I'd like to assemble them as a team right here on MMA Inside the Cage. Starting on our next episode, we'd like to have one girl on set with us every episode, and when we report live from any of the events in the area or outside of our area, we're taking all 3. We are pleased to present our new MMA Inside the Cage reporting team, otherwise known as Cyrus's Angels.
That's so ridiculous, but I'll buy it.
Well, it's that time. Time for our double-time delivery main event of the week. It's our first one of the new year. Casey, talk about these fights, Ovince St. Preux and his 2 most recent fights at StrikeForce.
Well, of course, Antoine Britt, who was a beast of a fighter, big dude, dropping down to 205 just like Ovince. Ovince did it. Solid 3. And then right on into Benji Radek, who is a legend in the sport. He's been around for many, many years. Tough opponent, and Ovince disposes of him handily.
You're going to look at it right now. And ladies, let's go ahead and put you to work right now. Do the honors.
Here it is, guys.
The double time delivery.
Main event of the week.
St. Preux returns to action just 15 days after securing a decision win over Antoine Britt at StrikeForce Challengers 12 in Jackson, Mississippi. The victory.
Keep him there and beat on him and score some points, because right now, technically, yeah, he's more the aggressor.
Knee from OSP gets caught with that right hook, and it looks like he may have been.
I think he might have got hurt.
OSP does have a near naked choke win, but he's content to just deliver the ground and pound to Benji Radek. OSP rated.
Because when you're tired, you don't react well to that right there. That massive uppercut literally just knocked him to his knees. And OSP, good on you. Great positioning and right back to pounding him. I thought he might have had a chance to finish him there.
27. Jerry Griffin sees it 30-26. Sal D'Amato scores at 30-25. All 3 in favor of the winner, Ovince St. Preux.
StrikeForce Challengers, live on Showtime from the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee on Friday, January 7th. 2 of the fastest rising stars collide as 7-0 Teron Woodley collides with Tarek Safandine. T. Wood, the 2-time All-American wrestler, looks to stay unbeaten against the hard-hitting Safandine. Also on the card, Ovince St. Preux, winner of 3 straight StrikeForce bouts, will do battle against Atlanta's own Abongo Humphrey. The former University of Tennessee standout St. Preux looks to keep rolling in the 205 division against a monster of a man in Humphrey, coming off a win of his own. It's mayhem in Music City, USA, as the country's most intense brand of MMA, StrikeForce, brings its Challenger Series to the Municipal Auditorium. Friday, January 7th is the night of Fists Fly, and you can be a part of all the action by getting your tickets at Ticketmaster.com or watching live on Showtime. At this time, let's thank our fantastic panel, Ovince St. Preux and Stoney Hale. Big congrats to our brand new reporting team, and next week we'll welcome 3 of the biggest names from Absolute Jiu-Jitsu and break down results from UFC 125. Visit us on our new website, MMAInsideTheCage.net, and find us on Facebook. I'm Cyrus Fies.
And I'm Casey Oxendown, and remember, 2011, we're shooting for the stratosphere.
We'll see you next week inside the cage.